Now on wheat, the way that it develops is the first part of a wheat to develop in the amino acid profile, as far as the proteins go, is the glutamine. And when wheat is pushed too hard, too quickly, the glutamine forms, and then the wheat runs out of the rest of the nutrients needed, sometimes including water, and will abort the rest of the amino acid chain. And so you get a very high level of gluten basically in that wheat. And typically, because that makes a stickier bread, most bakers don't really care that much. But in the human body, we're built to digest a amino acid chain that is complete. It's not a single amino acid. So when we go to digest it, our body begins to reject it. And so that's why that we have so much celiac disease and gluten intolerance and all of that today. We've been eating wheat as a species for millenniums, thousands of years. Wheat has been the staff of life, as they say. It's been the primary source of nutrients in every agricultural society almost throughout history. It's what civilizations were built on. Wheat in its normal state is a very healthy product. It's very healthy in the field like this. All the nutrients that it needs are there in balance. It's in an organic system. It only is able to produce as much as the soil actually has in it as far as nutrients goes. So rampant in today's world, we see glyphosate being used to kill the weeds. And not in wheat, but in other crops, they actually genetically modify the crop to withstand a certain amount of glyphosate so it doesn't die. But that glyphosate comes down and it's supposed to kill the weeds. The issue with glyphosate is it's really toxic in the sense of that it ties up the minerals in the uptake from the soil. So the weed actually doesn't die from the glyphosate, or as it's more commonly known as Roundup and most, as a branded name. It doesn't die from that, it dies from disease, typically Fusarium wilt. So the plant dies because of that. Now in wheat, so often, and of course not in this field ever, but so often farmers will go in when the wheat's just not quite this ripe, and they will spray glyphosate by air over the wheat field. It helps the wheat to dry uniformly, so you don't have green specks. It also kills any green weeds, so you'll see, here and there's a little bit of green left on a weed. That makes it more difficult to combine. You've got to slow down. So it kills all that, it kills the wheat, it makes it dry uniformly, but the glyphosate, they come harvested a week later. It's right on the wheat. Well, guess what happens? We intake that glyphosate into our bodies. It ties up the minerals in our body's uptake, and we end up with mineral deficiencies. And often, because it's tied to wheat and the gluten side, we also create autoimmune diseases. So our body says, no, 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 and it starts rejecting that wheat. And eventually it goes to this and that. Autoimmune disease, it's brutal. One thing they can't eat, and then they can't eat something else, and pretty soon everything else, and pretty soon your body's digesting itself. It's a brutal thing, but it all starts with the uptake of minerals. It's not just about the herbicides that might be on the lettuce leaf. It's about what's actually in the plant. It's about that glyphosate that could be on there, but even more, it's about that incomplete amino acid chain versus that complete amino acid chain where you can get everything that you need from the grain. That is what we do here at Azure. We raise grains in healthy soil. We source grains from other farmers that we know have healthy soil and do not use those kinds of chemicals to produce their wheat.